A brand new Halloween kids horror movie has just debuted today. That's right, RL Stein's Pumpkinhead. Now, for those of you unaware, he had a short story collection called Nightmare Hour, which is a fan favorite, pretty popular. And there was a short story in there called Pumpkinhead. And it got turned into an episode adaptation in the very famous kids horror show called The Haunting Hour. And that episode is loved by many, many fans, me included. I think it's a fantastic episode, and the short story was very good. So we found out that a brand new movie adaptation was going to be coming out on Tubi called R.L. Stein's Pumpkinhead. And now that it's debuted today, I just got a chance to watch it. So I'm going to go through my review, kind of covering what the plot is about a little bit, and then going into the positives and the negatives of it. And overall, how it was as a watching experience, and should this be a brand new Halloween movie you tune in for every single year, especially if you're into the kids' horror genre. So without further ado, let's get into the review. You are now at Horrorweentown Festival, and we just got our brand new attraction that got debuted and built today. That is Red Haven's Farm, and we're going to be playing a game of Pin the Tail on the Scarecrow, and whoever wins gets Palmer's prize pumpkin, or becomes one. Get in the potato sack.
Put your hands together, cover your eyes. Getting ready for a big surprise. Spirits in a bottle, ghosts in the machine. Walking on water, floating on a dream. Who's fooling who? Who can you believe? Do you think you're gonna lose it? Are you sure what you just seen?
This movie basically opens up with the main character whose father has unfortunately passed away not too long ago, and with the grieving process, his mother and his older brother Finn are basically moving to this small town America kind of neighborhood, a place where there's an annual harvest. They got farms there, everybody kind of knows each other, and this is a far stray away from what he's used to because he's a city kid, so he's used to the busy life, and that's not the case here. They're out in the countryside. And when he gets there, they're greeted by the local sheriff. He introduces them to the town and kind of talks about their main bragging point, which is the fact that they have an annual harvest of all these vegetables and brand new plants that come in, brand new crops. And it's all thanks to this is going to be tough to say, people. I can't stand saying his name. Farmer Palmer. I hate saying that. It's a tongue twister. But Farmer Palmer basically always brings forth a successful harvest. And there is an urban legend in the town about how before they were quite unsuccessful when it came to harvest. People were starving and it was like a depression point. And then magically some miracle was performed. And when that miracle was performed, the harvest started coming in every single October, and it was amazing. It brought forth a lot of food, a lot of crops, a lot of success to the town, and they become very grateful for it. In fact, when you get to the annual harvest, you see a lot of the townsfolk on their knees praying, almost to like some unknown god. And Farmer Palmer is treated as a deity here in town because he essentially saved everybody's lives and families' growth rates in this neighborhood. So Red Haven has been very successful because of him. And as the new families moving in, they're getting initiated, they're being gifted brand new crops. And of course, the main character, he's upset with it. He didn't want to move. He's depressed. So he ends up meeting the sheriff's daughter, who is this girl named Becca, who's much more hip like him. She's in tune. She's got good banter with them, and they start becoming friends. And of course, in the next few days, Halloween is coming up, and his older brother's birthday's on Halloween. He turns 18 that day. So they're kind of getting ready for the event. The mother and the older brother are kind of excited because, of course, the older brother is going to be heading off to college, but the younger brother, the main character, is kind of upset by that. And he's upset by this whole move. And he suspects that something strange is going on because when the annual harvest happens and they're invited there, he ends up sneaking into Farmer Palmer's barn and sees this weird mutated pumpkin, his prize pumpkin that's decayed, and it's got these tumorous growths on it. It's just very strange. And Palmer's very protective about it. He's got his gun ready. He's trying to scare off the kid from getting anywhere near that barn. And unfortunately, the main character ends up stealing his prize pumpkin, which comes with drawbacks because eventually it has to be returned when the sheriff catches wind. And the older brother decides, hey, I'll go at night, I'll go return it for you. And when he does, he doesn't return because you see that he gets attacked by some sentient vines. In fact, they wrap around him and they start invading his mouth. And earlier in the beginning of the movie, there was a chase scene where the random kid that's being the focus of that opening scene is running through the cornfield and getting chased by this demonic type of entity, which may or may not relate to the scarecrow, which is hung up at Farmer Palmer's property. And as the older brother disappears, the main character is obviously worried about him, trying to find him because he's missing and he thinks Palmer obviously had something to do with it. But the mother no longer remembers his older brother. He just gets forgotten as if he never existed. The sheriff pretends that he doesn't know about, the brother. And then it starts getting to the point where you think that they're almost not pretending. Only Becca, who believes the main character, and the main character himself remember the older brother getting taken. And that's when Becca informs them, like, kids have gone missing in this town. It has something to do with Farmer Palmer and some weird ritual he might have going on at his property. And unfortunately, that ritual, in order for it to be stopped, it's going to involve the main character and Becca and some help getting involved in trying to stop it. And that's going to lead to some bad consequences. And it's all going to take place on Halloween day and night. So that's essentially the story without me giving too much away. Obviously, it's a brand new movie. I don't want to spoil too much about it. So without further ado, let's get into the positives I have with it, and then the negatives, and just my overall thoughts. So first, the biggest compliment that I basically gotta give is the villain, one of the villains in the story, which you see all throughout the trailers and is on the promotional poster, the Scarecrow. This thing is terrifying. It is creepy. It is demonic hellspawn. There are scenes of it screaming like a little kid, like a demon out in the dark at night in the cornfields. It moves like a contortionist. It almost flips itself upside down and starts crab crawling like some exorcism type of thing. And it moves like a spider. It just looks downright terrifying. It reminds me of the book It Watches in the Dark, that kind of Scarecrow appearance, or even, DC's version of the Scarecrow character. It is a terrifying design, and it's creepy, it's dangerous, you feel its threat level throughout this movie. I loved all the scenes involving the Scarecrow. There's even a scene later where the bottom of its mouth is filled with like bear trap like teeth, and it just gives it a real freaky design. And again, whatever that contortionist type of, carnival performer movements that it have just adds to that scary factor and creepy level. I also really like the small town America setting with some cult type of thing going on. It reminds me of settings of like some of my other favorite, horror stories out there, like the movie Dark Harvest 2023. And also Children of the Corn, the short story by Stephen King. I like that small town America rural setting. And of course, it's always in horror where small town America has the most eldritch abominations, horrors beyond comprehension always happening. It's like, hey, come into America, come into the land of the free, we'll stop on by. We got fireworks on 4th of July, we got hamburgers and hot dogs and barbecue, take you out to the cornfields and have a good little old corn shucking, and don't worry about it either, because you also got demonic hellspawn scarecrows that are kidnapping your children. A small price to pay for freedom. Just make sure you don't cross that white picket fence, otherwise you might end up with a Pumpkinhead. Some of the characters I also really jive with. I like the sheriff. I like the best friend of the main character, Becca. She has a lot of good lines, a lot of good banter. Her kid actress did a pretty damn good job. I like her performance throughout the movie. And I like the way the story unfolds, different to like the original Pumpkinhead story where missing children was kind of just a thing that happened as a part of the story. Here you have that idea of a cult-like town with this ritual thing going on and keeping up the good harvest. And that also brings me to a point that I like about this movie, is that it feels like a PG-friendly version of the movie Dark Harvest 2023, which I actually watched like a week ago for the first time. I love that movie. Dark Harvest, and this has a lot of similarities to Dark Harvest. You got that small town America. You got the crop fields out there. You got the idea of a pagan ritual and tradition being kept up in order to maintain a successful harvest each time it comes around to October season during Halloween. You also have a certain character later in the climax, which has a twist involving them, a villainous character. And that villainous character, their occupation, who they were, what was their reasoning, it was almost exactly similar to one of the plot lines in the movie The Dark Harvest. It was a similar type of connection. You saw it right away. And the movements and lanky feel and the idea of the scarecrow reminds me of Sawtooth Jack from the movie. So again, it feels like it's taking homages to that. One of my friends and reviewers have told me that, the book It Watches in the Dark by Jeff Strand, that one felt like Dark Harvest kind of. So, you got some inspirations going on that I think enhances the movie in that regard. And the ending is quite dark. The ending is dark, and it actually, I think, enhances the weight and the impact of the story. So it's actually a dark twist ending that actually betters the story. It's not just there just for shock value. Shock value is there, but it actually, I think, adds more layers to the story and an outcome and shows you that, things didn't end kumbaya. There was actually some repercussion and weight behind the decisions of what the main characters did. My negatives come down to a few things that I think stop it from having that potential of being a great movie. Some of the characters I didn't really jive with too much. The main character, he gets better towards the end. Same with the other character that I'll mention. But the main character is very it's joked on, but he's very sulky and whiny and complainy and just emo throughout a majority of the movie. I didn't like his personality. He just got on my nerves. It's just like he's always complaining and always saying something nasty, and he's always just finding something to bitch about. Which, some of it, of course, is justified. You got the whole dad grieving process thing, and you have the fact that he's kind of right about the town and everything, but just wasn't really a rootable character that I could kind of back up. Also, for some reason, he looks like a mini version of Miles McKenna, who played, I think, James from Goosebumps 2023, the season 1 on Disney Plus. They look identical. He looks like a mini version, but that's not a complaint. That's just me calling it out. But yeah, his character was sort of eh. Also, another character you get introduced to, which is kind of like your local crazy man who ends up helping out the kids because he knows some deeper truths about the urban legend of this town, which is a character named Rusty who lives out in the woods in a trailer. He's a comedic relief character, but he got on my nerves because he just doesn't know how to turn it off. There's scenes that are supposed to be ominous and creepy and exposition, kind of explaining what the urban legend and the whole situation is, and he keeps interrupting them to do like meta jokes or do like a comedic quip, and it just gets annoying. It's just like he can't turn it off. He just has to keep being comedic. He also looks like Justin Long at home. It's like, hey, we want Justin Long. Here's Justin Long at home. Again, not a complaint, just observation. But yeah, he just couldn't turn off his comedic quips, and it kind of takes away from the certain emotions you want in certain scenes. It gets annoying to a point. So I didn't really jive with them too much, again, until the very end. But majority of the movie, I wasn't a big fan. Also, the musical choices in the movie, the OSTs that you get in scenes, they felt very choppy and out of place. The music I did not like. It did not enhance scenes to me. It just kind of took away from scenes. It just, again, sounds very choppy or loud or in your face or just too dramatic. And I guess to the point where it's like, you know what, it's not really necessary. You could have some more subtle music, or you could just have no music at all. You could just have no music at all, and it'd probably do the scene better. So those were some of my kind of more major complaints. I also feel the climax wasn't really all the way satisfying. I think the dark ending kind of saves it and enhances it, but I feel like the climax kind of wraps up a little bit too soon. I don't know about soon, but it kind of wraps up a little bit too easily, I would say. There's a certain scene involving a certain villain that they just sort of just lose. They just sort of kind of get defeated. There's not really like a real big struggle, even though that's kind of what was built up. And and just the way it kind of resolves itself. I just felt like it ended a little bit too easily, but the ending kind of helped it out where there's still some consequences left over. And that's really all the major points I can think about. There's a few shoddy acting moments, but nothing too crazy. So overall, I'm going to give this movie somewhere between, I have to see later, but right now I'll give it somewhere between an 8.2 out of 10 to an 8.4 out of 10, which means this is a good movie, a damn good movie. You guys should check it out. It's entertaining, it's fun. Again, the Scarecrow villain's terrifying. I like the cult small town setting, small town America. I like those vibes. I like the way the movie's shot. It's a very well shot movie. A lot of beautiful scenery scenes. And you got good characters in there. You got that dark ending, which kind of enhances it. It is intense and creepy at moments. But it's just not perfect. I felt like it had room to be more, do better, have some more potential, but still ended up being a good product. So I am looking forward to the potential of future movies coming out involving the Haunting Hour Road productions, because the original team of the Haunting Hour worked on this movie, which is good. I like that. I'm excited to see what they do in the future. And I do recommend you guys check it out. I will be rewatching this movie probably next Halloween. And it's a good kids horror movie. So overall, you guys did a good job. Shout out to RL Stein's Pumpkinhead and all the people out there who are just hating on it because they keep mistaking it for the other movie franchise. I mean, it's got R.L. Stein's name in the front, and he doesn't do adaptations of anything. So, yeah, just enjoy it. If you're a fan of The Haunting Hour, if you're a fan of R.L. Stein, you're a fan of kids horror, and you want a festive Halloween movie, go check out Pumpkinhead, which is free on Tubi right now. And that's all I got for today. Good film. If you guys like this video, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, check out the other Horrorweentown Festival videos I've been making, and this whole month I've dedicated towards October content, so stay tuned. All I got for today. Deuces.